Hour 2, more fun, implicit bias. Me, Kavan Bordelon. Next, Caleb Mort. No, I'm kidding. This is implicit bias. Yes, we're not speaking caveman, Caleb. I see you trying not to laugh.
I was dying. 'Cause I'm like, oh, I speak this language.
This is implicit bias. This is hour 2. That is Caleb Morse at the bar. Say hi, fellas.
Hi, fellas.
Yeah, there you go. See, Brian knows. Brian knows. And Burley, I'm disappointed because you should have known. You spent enough time around this
I
show.
didn't want to overtalk Brian.
Okay, that one y'all could have said in unison. You know this.
We'll do better next time.
Yeah, well, there won't be a next time because I'm not inviting you back. I'm kidding. That's Brian Hold Harmless Harmon. That is Short Pour Pellerin. The one you can't see is Walker Griffon. Say hi, Walker.
Hi, Walker. Oh.
Couldn't even turn on.
Hi, Walker.
Couldn't even turn on his microphone. That's the only job you have to is make sure that the system records and people's microphones are on. And you couldn't even turn on your own mic, Walker.
You over there watching TikTok? Is that what's
He
happening?
probably is.
No, I don't have TikTok.
Well, then what are you looking at?
Twitter.
Which has helped us here on the show because
Okay.
at times things have trended on Twitter
Thank you
that
to our
we need
newest
to talk
sponsor.
To. Yeah. Yeah. Elon, if you're watching, we'd love to have you on, by the way.
All about it. All-
Okay. New weekly whiskeys in hour 2. Let's start here. Multiple weekly whiskeys. These are the whiskeys available at Mr. Lester Steakhouse in the month of January. They are here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL, the top secret podcast lair for the uninitiated. The first is right here in my hands. It is Bluestone Manor. Caleb, you saw this one, and of course my eyes are going bad. 90 yep,
proof.
90 proof, 45% alcohol by volume. Let's make sure we got that right. Tug will tell me sooner or later. Burley, you said you thought this one was maybe just a little light after coming off of something at 125 proof.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a bad drink. It's just that's hard to drink after having something so vibrant and so interesting just before.
Okay, but the flavors on this one are
It is
deep
good.
and
It's-
intense.
It's hard because it's just a little bit lighter. And it's very easy to drink. It's not off-putting at all.
We are proof hounds here on the show. We've
We
said
are.
that for a long
We
time.
are.
We like higher proof stuff. But if I've got to drink something at 90,
I would
this
drink
to me, this is as good as it gets. Caleb, you want to chime in, then we'll go to Brian?
What's difficult about this is like, you remember whenever you have a few too many and your wife has a few too many, and you'll get to dance to like Juvenile.
No.
No,
No.
your knees aren't that
No.
good.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. So my wife and I sometimes will dance to some good old Juvenile, right? And you know the 1792 is that's dancing with your wife to Juvenile. Like you're like yeah.
Caleb just opened his mouth and Opelousas fell out.
Yeah. And this other one, this is like a nice slow dance. You know, this is like, ooh, you know, this is great. This is relaxing. This is seductive. And it's hard to follow up to raunchy. But it does a good job. It really does. It's viscous. It's got heavy caramel. I get hints of chocolate. The flavors are gentle. They're supple. It's a smooth, easy drinker. And from someone who poured themselves quite a bit, the further down your glass you go, the better it gets.
Here's the worst part. I cannot disagree with almost anything
Boom.
he said about this particular whiskey because, yes, the 1792 is a kick you in your teeth, right? I mean, it's a kick you in the face whiskey, and if you like that, it's really hard to follow up.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
But this Bluestone Manor, you used a word here that works. It is seductive. It is velvety. It is smooth. It is so flavorful. It is chocolatey. It's almost like an old fashioned without all the sweet in a glass. You get a lot of those flavors on this.
I almost want to try it warm, if that makes sense, right? Like a good hot chocolate. I think this would be better. Like we're at room temperature, right? We're not drinking on ice or anything else. I'd be curious to see if this does a hot toddy by itself.
Okay.
It
All
might.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might. All right, Brian, what about you? What do you think about this particular whiskey, this Bluestone Manor?
I agree with everything that's been said. It's quite the contrast to the 1792. Burley had used the term or used oily to describe the 1792, and drinking this one right afterwards, it goes down much easier. It's just more. I don't mean to use the word watery as a negative way to describe it, but It is full of flavor. It's just a lot thinner than that 1792.
It's not as oily.
That's right.
It is simply, and maybe this is a better way to put it, it's a cleaner whiskey as far as how it goes down, as far as how it sits on the palate. The flavors to me in this are much more distinct.
Mhm.
You get more distinct flavors on this Bluestone Manor than the 1792 Full Proof, because the 1792 Full Proof is using the alcohol to get there. This is full-bodied. It is supple. It is velvety. And yeah, Caleb used that word. I'm going to go back there again. It is seductive almost on how it sits on the palate. Burley, you were
Yeah,
itching to chime in that you almost broke the microphone again.
Well, if we'd have some good attachments here, I guess. In the glass, it actually looks good in the glass. It's got great legs on the glass, actually. So it does have some of that oil to it, that viscosity that we do like, but it's hard to get it on the tongue because we just got shocked a few minutes ago with that 125. So, but it's very, very easy drink. This is an easy drinker. Lots of flavor, not punching you in the face like the other one, which is tons of flavor, but this is very subtle.
And this one not easy to find either.
I bet you this would be really good after one of Chef Willie's delicious steaks
Ooh.
and those potatoes.
Which potatoes? Because we've had like
No,
four
the
types of potatoes
scallop,
from
he does-
Willie.
He does the scallop potatoes.
So he's got
There's
he
no-
does the au gratin,
there-
and then he does the other one. And I can't remember the actual term for it for some reason, but I know the ones you're talking
it's
about.
fancy. Those, like after the meal, instead of a dessert, get this. Sip on this, enjoy this. You're already in the meat sweats. This will relax you, slow you down a little bit, and like this will be a great way to finish the night. That's what I see with this one.
And to that point, it's a great way to continue if you want to continue to savor and continue to sip.
Yeah.
You're not continuing to compound 125 over 125 over 125. You're going 125, and after that first sip, now all of a sudden you're sitting comfortable with 90.
Well, and what happens is, look, not everyone can drink 125 all night long. Not everyone can sit at 110, 115, 125 and do that glass after glass.
Some people can't drink 125 for 2 glasses.
Yeah,
Let's
so
just be honest.
You have to be able to, get up to 5th gear and downshift back to 3rd sometimes and coast just for a little while and take it easy. And this is a great one to just take it back into 3rd gear, get the RPMs right, and low and slow.
Walker, did we give you any of this?
No, he's still nursing the other glass because
And couldn't turn his microphone up again to
Yeah.
answer into the microphone.
yeah.
If you were in it for the long haul, this would be a good
Oh yeah.
long time drink over the night for sure.
So, Mr. Lester's, during the month of January 2025, you've got the Bluestone Manor, and then you've got the Forbidden series out of Bardstown. $15 a pour, $40 for the flight of 3.
Oh gosh, dog.
Which, especially when you pair these 3 together, because you've got the bourbon
Yeah.
from the Forbidden series, you've got the small batch bourbon, let
Yeah,
me
the
rephrase
single
that. Then you've got the
barrel,
single
small batch.
barrel, and then you've got the Bluestone Manor. All of these
You know what? You should do yourself justice and get 2 flights.
of what's the other flight? Or
No,
just
no,
2 flights of this.
Two flights of this.
Oh, okay.
That way you can try it. You can do Forbidden, Bluestone, Forbidden, and then mix it up a little bit and do like Forbidden, Bluestone. Try it a little bit. Do something different with it.
Well, now you're talking me into a 3rd flight to see just
yeah.
how many, because what? So you've got 27 different combinations of how you can
There you go,
rotate
doing
through
wonderful
this.
math. Yes,
Yeah,
there are.
yeah,
Yes,
and
there are.
that to me is what you should do. Now the only problem is after 3 flights, oh, you better hope you had a full meal,
Yeah.
which at Mr. Lester's is not difficult.
Oh God, no, it's easy.
Not difficult at all. Okay, so Burley, I know we're gonna let you and Brian at the bar test out the Forbidden series. Caleb and I had an opportunity last week. Who knows? Caleb and I may go back to that this
Why not?
week, right? We've got all kinds of stuff out there. One of the stories that we really kind of need to discuss, when we just say just don't. We started talking about the legacy media and why you don't hate the media enough in hour 1. If you missed it, find us wherever you get podcasts. Find us on social media. We're all over. Subscribe, like, follow, please. It helps the show. It helps you get more of your implicit bias. A story recently came out that the media is now full on admitting that the Biden White House wasn't really the Biden White House. Now, this is not news to...
It shouldn't be news to anyone.
It shouldn't be news to anyone. Fair, ring the bell because that's true. The signs have been there, 5 years? The full year of non-campaigning and then 4 years of alleged presidency? But some people still thought he's sharp as a tack because we believe the great lie.
Sharp as a brick.
Yeah. Sharp as a lead balloon or a turd in a punch bowl. They all go over about the same.
This version of Biden is the best version. Who said that? Who said that on national television?
Was that Scarborough?
It was.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is the best version. Well, now they're basically admitting that he never ran anything. Which, gentlemen, leads me to a couple of questions. Number one, if he wasn't running anything before January of 25 or before December of 24, who's actually coming up with all these pardons? And are they legal? Remember, if you go look at the number of pardons that were handed out by the alleged president,
He's handed out more pardons in the past, 3 presidents before him combined?
Yes, easily.
And it's ridiculous. So, I mean...
The last great spike in pardons was the Obama administration.
He pardoned...
And he surpassed that.
He commuted the sentence of 37 out of 40 federal death row inmates.
Correct. Correct. So again, thoughts on who's actually coming up with these pardons? And these laws, because it just hit about a week before this show aired, that they're trying to create a law that will forbid all offshore drilling on United States federal lands for any administration to come in the future. If he's not really the president, and please don't believe us on this, go look up all of these stories. But if he's not the president, let me rephrase this. He is the president.
Physically.
Well, but that also means legally.
Yeah.
Which means that someone illegally is directing him and pulling the strings.
He's the Pino.
Well, it's at what point...
in name only.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's at what point do we dig deeper, right? And do we say, okay, let's look into this? Because we can spend the next presidency looking into this and still probably not get the answer that is right? So... It's one of those things. Like, if you don't think our nation is bought and paid for, you haven't been watching the news for the past 75 years.
Agreed.
Right?
Well, maybe not
No,
75.
not 75, but
Well, because what? 25 minus 63, call it 65 for round numbers.
Walter Cronkite. It died with Walter Cronkite.
Oh, I think it died before Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it died. Well, I mean, Kennedy was assassinated in 63.
Yep.
Cronkite was the one who went on the air and announced it. So Cronkite was on the air well after Kennedy was assassinated, and that's my best guess as to when the real United States government died.
The trust in media died when Cronkite retired.
Well, that's trust in media. I'm talking about when the government being bought and paid for wasn't a thing. Now, it may even go back much farther than that, Caleb.
I mean, they were trying to buy the government before we even signed the paperwork, right?
Correct.
So
we have the Fed after all.
Yeah, the devil's been knocking at the door since day -25, probably. But it's at what point do we open the door and say, you know what, I'm tired of the noise?
It happened at some point. It absolutely happened at some point. And the bigger question I have now is, so not just what's up with the pardons. The bigger question I have now is, if they are admitting that the Biden presidency was never really the Biden presidency, not just how bad is it. My question is this: is anything that he has signed, if they are admitting that he was never mentally coherent enough,
Is it legitimate?
is anything he signed legitimate? Or are in fact we dealing with fraud? And there's a saying, fraud vitiates everything, which means that if there was something fraudulent that happened there, or if he was fraudulently
but you can't
somehow
rewind the clock.
installed. Well, you can't rewind the clock, but you can rewind the paperwork and pull all of that out immediately.
But imagine the damages the government would have to pay for all the stuff that was done. Like that's
That
I don't see him going back to day one. I don't see him going back to day like 1200. But yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, the truth needs to be spoken, right?
Agreed.
So whoever it is, be it a corporate entity, be it a shadow government, be it the devil himself pulling the strings, like myself, and I'm sure some people would love to know.
Oh, I would absolutely love to know.
I've got no faith that anyone will be held accountable for what we've seen happen over the last 4 years. It frustrates me to no end because if the shoe was on the other foot, if we had had Trump this last 4 years, and it was Trump who was suffering from cognitive decline.
Well, they tried that, remember?
They did try that. We heard that for the first 4 years. That,
Yeah.
what is it, the 25th Amendment, 25th
Yeah,
Amendment?
they tried 25th Amendment.
Yeah, over and over and over again. Okay, imagine that it was Trump, that this did go down. How do you think the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, would be treating that today? And how do you think that what do you think we would see over the next couple of years while they drug this out for as long as they possibly could? If the shoe was on the other foot, I think there would be people held accountable. I'm just not here today confident enough to say that we're going to see any accountability from the Biden administration. And the people I'm most upset about are the ones who day in and day out for years held water for this administration and vilified anybody and everybody who tried to say something about it. Robert Hur went in front of Congress and said that I couldn't. He is so far. I don't particularly remember his wording, but it was, we can't prosecute this guy. He's not there. And if that guy was vilified beyond belief, left and right. Now, no one's more happy about what they're talking about now than the truth coming out than Robert Hur.
Well, and it's because he's been right for so long.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear more of people who've been right for so long, stick around for more segments of Implicit Bias as we bring you more of Hour 2 from the TSPL right after this.